Hey everybody, this is Stacy. I'm with the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County. We have the privilege of having Crystal Turner. Let me point you to Crystal here. She is the councilwoman for the city of Hampton, Florida. And the city of Hampton, Florida, if you didn't look it up or if you haven't been keeping up with the news, was pretty much considered one of the most corrupt towns in the United States, and definitely in Florida. And we asked her to come sit with us because she's a young libertarian and she's elected in office. And we really wanted to hear her story and the things that she's doing to help this poor little town resolve its reputation. So I do have a short video that I wanted to show you. Is everybody seeing it okay? Are you okay? I have Kevin here too. I just want to make sure that everything's good. And you can hear us. Oh, he's muted.
I see you.
Okay. So I want to play this video. I'll switch over here. I have to share my screen, I'm sure. Okay. And I want to share this screen, and we'll play the clip. Okay.
Welcome to the twilight zone of government gone wrong. Hampton, Florida, population 477. And all that can relate to it was the old Dukes of Hazzard. They make false hogs look like a Sunday. It started a few years ago when the city of Hampton sanctioned a speed trap along Highway 301. The tiny town had 19 police officers. That's one officer for every 25 residents, writing tickets to boost the city's coffers. On this side of the road, Sheriff Gordon Smith says one of the officers was nicknamed Rambo. He was actually getting out of a car with an AR-15 strapped across his shoulder, had like SWAT tactical gear on, to write tickets, This is crazy, right? I tell you, that's way above crazy. It wasn't illegal, but in 3 years, officers wrote about $600,000 in traffic fines. But when state auditors examined the city's books, they found a rotten cesspool in this swampy landscape. For starters, how that money was spent is unclear, and it's triggered a state criminal investigation. A few weeks ago, this bombshell was dropped here on the front porch of City Hall, an audit of the way the city of Hampton has done its business. Inside, 31 different findings of inappropriate action, questionable record keeping, shady accounting, accusations of nepotism, money that's missing, you name it, it's in here. And now some state lawmakers want to make the city of Hampton disappear, wipe it off the map. According to the audit, several city employees were overpaid roughly $9,000. The city credit card had $27,000 of questionable charges, and $132,000 were charged to a city account at the convenience store next to City Hall. City officials say they're reviewing their operations and considering the audit's recommendations. That's a lot of money. But nothing symbolizes Hampton's woes quite like this. We found the elected mayor sitting in the county jail. He was in office a month and a half when he was arrested in an undercover sting and charged with selling oxycodone. He denies dealing drugs, and he's not connected to the city's financial mess. Depression out there right now.
Okay, I'm going to stop that video right there because I think we got the gist of it. And let's bring it back to Crystal. And Crystal, I wanted you to introduce yourself and let us know, why the heck did you ever decide to get involved in this mess?
Well, my name is Crystal. I am the city councilwoman for Hampton, Florida, and I don't know what encouraged me to really get involved in city politics other than a letter that I got from City Hall asking people to run for government because they were trying to disband the city and make big changes and hold everyone on the former city council accountable, and they needed people to run. And I thought that would just look great on a resume. And that was only the beginnings of the problems that I had with the city. But I'm glad that I've done it. It's been a good learning lessons for sure.
So you had to run for election, and we do have young libertarians who'll be watching this, and other libertarians as well. And I wanted to know what kind of things did you do to get elected? How many people were running? What were some of the things that the community needed to hear from potential officials?
Well, 6 people were running, and there were 5 seats available, including a mayor seat that wasn't open. He wasn't running against anybody else. He was running against an amendment. So, but the people voted for the people to elect the mayor as opposed to the mayor being appointed from a member of the city council. And there was a gentleman who ran named Gene. He ran unopposed, so he was handed the seat. And he's done great. I think between the 6 candidates, everybody had anywhere between 53 and 76 votes apiece, and that's the amount of people it took to change Hampton.
Yeah, it is unbelievable that, you know, I think you had around 53 votes. I think there was 57. It was all around there. I think the lowest guy who didn't make it on the board was 36 votes or something like that.
Yeah.
And to see people just walk in unopposed, granted this is a different situation, but this isn't the only time that people walk in to office unopposed. I know I live in St. Pete, and there was a gentleman who just walked on the city council unopposed in a town like St. Pete. So it doesn't just happen in little towns, it happens in the big cities as well. So have you been a lifelong resident of Hamilton?
I'm sorry, could you repeat one more time?
Have you been a lifelong resident of Hamilton? How long have you
No. I had actually just moved there about 9 months before I ran for the election. So, yeah, we bought a house. Real estate was a little cheap out in Bradford County. I spent $12,000 on a house on an acre and was 1 block away from City Hall. And behind that oh so notorious gas station.
You what? I didn't hear that part.
And I was a block away from City Hall and a block away from the gas station that news report had mentioned. Spending, what did they say, $132,000 at that store?
Yeah, and that's something, just for those of you who don't know, Hamilton is pretty much sits halfway between Gainesville and Jacksonville. I might have a map of it here. Hold on one second. And what they did was, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost looks like a mosquito with a proboscis that just juts out to grab like a half of a mile or a quarter of a mile. 301, and they were making, I don't know, upwards of $600,000 just pulling people over. It was collect and serve. That's kind of justice it was.
Yeah, there were definitely some rules being broken, that was for sure. And to be fair, it wasn't just Hampton. That whole stretch of 301 in between Alachua County and Bradford County had a massive police corruption problem. They just disbanded Waldo PD, which is a statewide notorious speed trap, and so they got 2 of them now, Hampton and Waldo, and they say those were the really bad parts of the speed trap. But we only had less than a mile of jurisdiction out on 301, and whenever the police officers pushed their limits with the jurisdiction is what really got them in trouble when they pulled over the wrong person. They pulled over the wrong lawyer that looked into them.
Right, and I thought it was a Representative Van Zandt as well. I know that every time I drove that way, you know, the speed limit goes 25, 30, 50, 60, and then back down, progressively down to 25, and there are always police officers there, and they say they were hiding out behind, you know, garbage cans and all that. I'm having technical difficulties here, and I wasn't able to get to that map, but it is...
No, you're fine, and there is truth about them hiding the speed limit signs. Well, let me say this, because I'm sure that there are ongoing investigations, and I can only tell you what I found whenever I was cleaning out the back of City Hall was letters from Bradford County Sheriff's Office to the City of Hampton City Hall telling them to stop moving the signs, the speed limit signs. It stated that they were moving them from around the school zones, so it didn't give you the correct amount of time to slow down, and they were writing tickets, and it wasn't warranted. they were doing a lot of things that were unwarranted. But that moving the speed limit sign, I know that there's truth behind that because I read the letters from Bradford County to us. And it seems like eventually they were in compliance, but right now we're working on our whole roads department, so we'll see whenever we go out to measure all the department and transportation standards.
Okay, and I understand that a lot of the money that they were collecting didn't make its way down to the citizens. Is that correct?
Yes, that is fair to say. That I think it did not make it down to the citizens. Again, there's still an investigation ongoing, and I don't have all the paperwork and I don't have all the files to look at like I should be able to because it was seized and still is in custody of the IRS or the FBI or Bradford SO. So someone has them, but they're going to do their part of the process, and eventually we will get them back so we can learn the truthiness.
Okay, well, I'm going to Facebook now, and I have a question that somebody had asked. Because the Hampton City Police were disbanded, and they wanted to know if they reconstituted the police force, or did you default to the sheriff department?
No, we go through Bradford County SO. Before the election, they had made an agreement with the city of Hampton, and Bradford County SO also, successfully covers a bunch of other little towns around that incorporate all of Bradford County, like Brooker, or they're helping Lottie right now. But they've just taken over as they have done for the other municipal cities around us. And so far it's been good. There have been complaints about slow response times, but people have to understand that it's a rural police force, and sometimes there's only 2 officers protecting the entire county, and it's going to take more than 5 minutes for them to get to the other side of their jurisdiction. I understand that complaint, but it's not a Hampton or a Bradford problem. It's just a problem.
Okay, and another question, I'll rephrase it a little bit, is did the people who were kicked out of office go quietly? And has anybody been jailed or arrested or anything yet?
As the CNN interview, the story had stated the mayor was arrested, and as far as I know, last I've heard, he's still incarcerated. But as of
a drug charge before this all even happened.
Yes, it was just a perfect storm that tried to bring down the entire city. But he is still incarcerated, and unrelated to his charges are the former city officials that worked there, and that is still under investigation. But there is expected charges. I don't know what they're going to be or what they're going to encompass. They're really keeping us out of a lot of it, because that is now a criminal case, not really a municipal county or municipal.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the election. You went around town and put flyers out. Obviously, you had speaking engagements, which sometimes is difficult to do. This was a nonpartisan race, though, right? How did you get speaking engagements, and what did you do to get elected?
I'm sorry, I can hear myself all of a sudden. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So whenever I was running for election, I made flyers and I handed them out to individuals, and I posted them up on the telephone poles. And I went through the door safely, in a very safe manner. I didn't go in any part where I felt like it was because it's kind of illegal to do nowadays. But I also had speaking engagement at churches. Such a small town like this is going to be religious. I don't want to say religiously run, but it's a very important part of their day-to-day life, and most people congregate at the church, and so I was going to impact the most amount of people at the church, so that's where I went to go speak. Oh, I can't hear you.
Hey, Crystal, it's Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know what happened on Stacey's side.
I think I'm good now.
So that's awesome. So you're politicking at the church. When you finally came into office, was there any complications with trying to manage the
I'm sorry, I can't hear you because you're echoing.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Got a feedback problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can? Okay. So we were talking about how you got elected and you were going to the churches.
Mm-hmm.
Was your message any different than any of the other candidates who were running?
I didn't know what. I'm not from the city of Hampton. I didn't grow up in the city of Hampton. Everyone else who lives there, the entire population, everyone knows each other. But I think I kind of did it in favor because there were no biases against me or for me. I didn't have the negative views of a lot of people or the positive views of a lot of people. I was starting from scratch. And I really chose not to listen to too many people, get to know people for my own self before I hear all this stuff people have to say about them. But other than that, I am a female, and that's a lot different than my company there. And I was elected when I was 26 years old, and I think the oldest other council member is 45. So there's a lot of
Absolutely. And so that wasn't a disadvantage for you in any way?
I don't think so. I think I ran with it as a positive, and people agree.
Okay, so now you're in office. What are some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis and some of the things that you either seek to accomplish or have already accomplished?
Okay. I think it's really bad in my headphones. Do you know if there's a way to fix this? Nope.
Possibly if you unplug it, you plug it back in, and maybe turn the volume down.
Okay. No, that's fine. The day-to-day stuff, technically, my job description says that I have to be in the city of Hampton for about an hour and a half, once a month, which is the second Tuesday, and that's in the city council meeting. Other than that, it's kind of you get out what you put into it. I am the city's department of Parks and Recreation manager. So one of the things that the former administration did give to us were two very nice parks, and we're working on getting a rails and trails that go through the parks behind the city that follow from Stone Heights run all the way to the park. So Parks and Recreation Department is working on that and maintaining the wonderful parks that were granted to us.
Okay, so there are a couple other things that I heard that you did, and actually you remind me kind of like the Cory Booker, I don't know if you know who that is in New Jersey, of Florida, and he runs in and he rescues people from burning buildings, and he shovels snow for little old ladies and carries their groceries home from the grocery store. So I understand that you were instrumental in getting a parade for the holidays. And tell us what happened when you were participated in that parade.
Well, apparently the city of Hampton has a parade every year. I had no idea about it until people told me, and so I got the mayor's wife, who was instrumental with the parade. I could not have done the parade without her. And we successfully pulled off with like a month of preparation. City's largest and the festival, the loudest, happiest, and most populated parade in history. And that evening had a tree lighting with 2 Christmas trees, a little brown, but for the first time. And then next week, we ended up doing a Christmas parade, no, excuse me, Christmas party for the children, where we gave all the children arts and crafts and gifts, and they all met Santa. And we were able to do all of this without any taxpayer money, any money out of the city. They were all donations from our local businesses. Didn't around $1,000. Take 100, but we were able to get everything done for $100,000.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that sounds good. No, but I was specifically talking about the incident where that you witnessed a child in the crowd and what happened with that.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I was riding on the fire truck with Santa, and we were throwing out candy to kids. We were throwing out safe candy to kids, multiple candy to kids, but there were many floats in front of us that were throwing candy out as well. And somehow an infant got a hold of a piece of candy, and whenever we were passing her, rounding the corner, it was in the last third of the parade, I had noticed and just kind of put it in my background that a mother had her finger stuck down a baby's throat, and they looked like they were in distress. And it was one of those flashes that registers, and then you just put it to the side because there's a lot of other stuff going on. Obviously, if I known the baby was choking at that point, I would have stopped. But another member of the family came running after the fire truck and was knocking on the side of it saying that her baby was choking, her baby was choking. I hollered at the EMT that was driving the fire truck, I knocked on this off. I told him pediatric airway emergency so he could grab the bags and whatever was necessary, and I ran to, which wasn't far, but to take care of the child and assess that situation. Whenever I arrived at the baby, she was changing colors. She was about a little under 2 years old maybe, and I could see a butterscotch candy lodged deep down in her throat. I had someone call 911 just to make sure they were on their way, and I turned the baby over my leg, and I proceeded to, it looks very bad, and it sounds very bad, but I proceeded to beat the child on the back to try to get the piece of butterscotch out of the mouth. And once I knocked it up and dislodged it enough, I was able to visualize it and hook my finger around and pull the butterscotch out of her mouth, which I do not recommend doing unless you are trained, because it can be very, very tricky and you can definitely make it worse. But the longest 30 seconds ever, she started to smile and cry and scream, and I was happy. Gave her to her mom, and then I brought her up, and they met Santa, and it was just one of those good moments that never really happened. But I'm glad that I was just there at the right place at the right time. I had help from the EMTs, and it just worked out great.
That's incredible. And so now I think would be a good time to tell everybody what you actually do for a living.
Oh, okay. I do many things. I am a public servant of all trades, but I am also a certified paramedic, and I have degrees in pediatric advanced life support, and CPR, of course, is required of us. And I volunteer with the Hampton Fire Department right now, which is a part of Bradford County, and is also undergoing some changes, but I am a volunteer there. And after the child choking incident, I started to encourage citizens of my city to attend CPR classes and just get trained. And I want to have CPR classes in City Hall free and available to the town, because unchoking a baby is a very doable thing, and as long as you were trained, if you come across that emergency, you'll be much more equipped to deal with it.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about some of the things that are going on in the town and what you need to do, or what you are doing, and the rest of the city council and the mayor, of course, to help resolve that? I know you've got an audit. One of the things that almost happened was the city charter was almost pulled, and the citizens rallied together to be able to save the town, and you're part of that historic moment for that town. But what are some of the challenges you are now facing?
Well, the audit is still our city's biggest challenge, at least I would consider it, because we can't move forward and make plans or do anything unless we're in compliance with our audits. And it's hard for us to meet the requirements of our audit when we don't have all of the information and we don't have all of the necessary paperwork and files. And there's not anyone that we know that's trained to do it. So I'm having to learn a lot of tax law, which I have no background in, but someone has to do it. Somebody has to step up and advance themselves to try to get all this done. And so when it comes to little tasks like that, I do what I can. The mayor calls me the master of all hats, because I do whatever he needs when it comes to the city. And unfortunately, the audit has been one of those things that I'm learning. And yeah, I think they said 31 or 32 counts. I don't know exactly, I don't know right off the top of my head, but I've read them, and it was saying pretty accurate.
Okay, so because there are a lot, your town is in a lot of financial dire straits, I would presume, right? I mean, how's the budget going, and how are things like the schools and the water system and all that have to get funded?
Well, we have one elementary school, and it is run by the county of Bradford, and it is an A school, and go Hampton Elementary. And the water department is actually Hampton's only source of revenue. So that's all we got. That's the only income to the city. There are no land taxes. They go to the city of Hampton, or to the county of Bradford, because we don't have a code enforcement department. You know, all we have is a city clerk and a water department. So the electricity is Florida Power and Light. We do have a contract with them, so I guess we do receive some revenue there, some revenue from gas taxes from our one convenience store. But other than that, it's really the only water department. And the water department is getting better, but it's almost, I don't want to use the word shambles, but it's been very neglected, and we're having problems getting contractors to come out to maintenance it, and the money for that is tied up in the audit. So we have to get these things done because we have to meet the requirements for our water for many reasons. Ethical, moral, because it's good business. We need to have clean water, and we do, but we're really behind with the utilities department in those ways. Oh, man.
Hey, I had a question for you, Crystal. It's Kevin.
Okay, good. Okay, Kevin, I heard whenever you just came on, but I could not hear before that.
Yeah, so. It sounded like some silence was starting to permeate there a little bit. So, how many people are on your water system there? And I also wanted to ask you regarding getting cash flowing back to your city. Is there like a I guess a state attorney or some attorney who's kind of responsible for doing their part, and might they be able to release funds so you guys can continue to maintain your city and keep services flowing?
Okay, people on the water system, do you mean employees of the city of Hampton that maintenance it and keep it up to code, or are you talking about how many customers do we service?
How many customers you service?
About 500.
Okay. So it's not a huge amount of income there.
Oh.
But of course, you're going to need some cash flow. So, is there cash like sitting in some kind of account that's part of your audit, or is there, or did somebody take control of it, like the federal investigators? Like
that's a good question. I don't know how many bank accounts we have, and the only credit card that I do have is from Walmart, which I canceled all of them, and we have one from the First Bank of Tennessee. So I don't know how those got in the mix. Sorry, I lost hearing again. So I don't know how those got in the mix, but I would really love to find a bank account that we had and a bunch of legitimate money that we could spend on the city. That would be great. Oh, there, you're back. I don't know who did something, but the sound is back.
Oh, it's me, possibly. Stacy,
Okay.
are you there? Why don't you wave your hand, Stacy, because I see a still image on the screen. Okay, good. Take over whenever you want.
No, because I'm unmuting and muting, and I thought I had unmuted and I was talking and nobody heard me, so that's my bad.
But your question about the lawyer, yes, we do have a city lawyer. His name is John Cooper, and he's doing wonderful things for us, and he's great legal counsel and has been a really good resource for us. So I really think everybody that's sitting on city council really just wants the best for the city of Hampton right now. So that's the best you can ask for, I think, even though we're all different and sometimes we don't see eye to eye. We all want the best. We all have the same end goal, and that's a big help.
I had one follow-up question, if I could, Stacy. So the county takes property taxes from your citizens in town. Do they flow that money back to your city, in some proportion?
I can't recall specifically seeing it. There might be, but really there's so many people who are tax exempt from paying property taxes in our little city that the amount of money it would actually bring in really wouldn't even, I don't want to say wouldn't be worth the fight. It is our money and we should have it, but it would just be so minute because of all of the homesteads. And then even if we did want to raise the property taxes, which I'm not trying to, but it wouldn't make too much of a difference because the homestead is covered by so many of the population. Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna. Can you hear me now? Because I want to. We have a question here from Jessica, and she wanted to say, "Hey, Crystal, I'm interested in hearing about your experiences with voters when they found out you're a libertarian. What were their reactions, and how many are familiar with the LP?"
I had no real reactions. Actually, nobody seemed to care if I was Republican or Democratic. That never came up at all. And if I was a libertarian, well, no, I'm sorry, I am a libertarian, but if it was to come up in conversation, I don't think that too many of them would really know too much about the party. I want to get the word out, but once I explained it to some people, they were all about it, and our views lined up with theirs.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I guess they just need anybody right now who's willing to fight for the city and fight for them.
Person more than the party.
Yeah, exactly. It should be that way, shouldn't it? So let me go back to some human interest again. And I know we had some discussions about the science lab and your what you did to help the school system or one of the schools.
Yeah, I'm sure that everybody can relate to economic problems with all of the public schools. It's an unfortunate situation, and there's very limited amount of funding. And I also work at a lab at the University of Florida. I saw a sign that said they were giving away free science glassware because one of the professors was retiring. So I took the sign and I took the box of the free glassware to the room where it said you can collect more at this room. And I told them my situation and who I was, and that I think that the elementary school at Hampton would, really benefit from all of these lab supplies that were probably ultimately going to end up in a landfill. And they were excited to donate it. They helped me box everything up. I packed my full little Volkswagen Beetle as much as it would go, and I drove it out to the school. And the kids loved it, and I've been able to do it one other time with Bradford Middle. So hopefully every time I see it, I'm going to keep, trying to donate it to the local schools. And I'm trying to stretch my wings out. So if anyone that's listening has a university around them, those elementary school needs help. So definitely, we can work together.
And I guess you need access to a truck too, huh? A trailer. You need access to a truck to haul all the supplies over.
I know so much. If anybody wants to give me a truck, I will take a truck. But I'm going to start reaching out because the University of Florida, I know they have like automatic emails that go out for free stuff, and it happens to be a lot of free furniture and school supplies. So I'm going to throw out just like a little memo on that list and see if I get any bites for anyone wanting to donate stuff. But eventually, yes, I will need help because there's only so much I can do with my little car.
Okay, can you hear me now too? I'm sorry. I just make sure that because I'm unmuting that I'm unmuted when I start talking because that didn't happen before. How are the citizens helping you out? Are there volunteers that are coming out in full force? And how are the counties and surrounding communities helping you?
You know, I have had a lot of people that want to help and lend helping hands, and I don't know if maybe I'm just not the best delegator, but there hasn't been very much follow through with people's initial promises to help, which is unfortunate because people always seem like they want to complain, but then whenever it comes to stamping lights on City Hall for Christmas, there's nobody there to help you. So, and that's okay. It's a learning process. But there's also questions I heard about. A lot of people have community service hours that they need to attend, but I had heard a rumor that since there was an ongoing investigation onto City Hall, that if it was a felony count that was causing them to have their restrictions in their community service, then they should not be in City Hall dealing with paperwork for an ongoing investigation. I don't know if that's true, but I would really love to tap that unused potential of volunteer time. But then it's just a matter of I hope they'll show up. I don't know if it's just me or the times that I've been asking, but I wish people would step up and help the community more because we could get so much more done. If there was 2 of me working like this, the place would be spectacular. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. We are all volunteers in the Libertarian Party affiliates, and there are a lot of people who help out, but there are, always seems to be a handful who do the bulk, the lion's share of the work.
Yeah,
but
it's all about working with the team. It's just sometimes people in the teams hold bigger weights or they're more specialized in different things, and yeah, I wish sometimes that libertarians would step up and want to help out with it because it would pull the load off of the rest of us and give us the ability to stretch our wings like we can.
So aside from the audit, what other types of goals do you have for the city? I know that's a pretty tall order there just to pass the audit, right? And you said something about having FBI investigators and IRS investigators and everybody.
Yeah, we do have the IRS and the FBI, but for the most part, that's all done. They came in, they cleaned house, they took everything, they liquidated all of our assets, and especially with the police department, they liquidated all of those assets in Bradford County. We sent them all to auction, so we didn't even have a choice. It was all done for us. By the time I got there, that whole mess had been cleared up. I'm sorry, what was your other question? It's coming in and out on this.
That's okay. Is there a chance that your charter can still be pulled, or is that pretty much you're out of the woods for that?
No, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening in the future at all. That would be quite an expensive responsibility for another county to take on, I think, is a big part of it. And the citizens of Hampton, they want to be their own municipal code, and they want to represent themselves. And a handful of responsible, trustworthy people went to Tallahassee and told them these things, and they've entrusted it to us. So I think that whenever they allowed us to have our election, and that was the nail in the coffin to us remaining a city.
I have a question from Lynn, and it says, do you manage your civic duties? Is it a full-time job? Do you have a social life, and any general sanity?
No, I must be a masochist because, as I said before, I'm a paramedic, and now public service is a thankless job in so many ways, but I love what I do. I love being a paramedic, and I must just love being a public servant. So I'll keep on this track. No, it is not a full-time job. The only time that I am, by the books, required to be there is the second Tuesday of every month for the city council meeting. But you get in what you put in. So I'm there often working. I have a full-time job, and this is my side job, and I think that's why a lot of people run unopposed, because it would be such a burden for someone else to take on that did not have the financial ability to just take off work, just to do what they can. So people don't run. I think the way that I see it now going through this process, if it wasn't such a strenuous job and there's no support to us to even like try to take a break, it's a downer, because like I want to do so much and I want to help, and whenever people aren't as enthused as I am, it brings you down. But I want to like encourage people to go run for office, because you can make a difference, and it's obvious because I have made a difference. I've made a difference all over the town, and I've loved what I've done. It's just a mountain of uncertainty and problems, and there's always going to be another problem, and for every one person that tells you they're happy, 5 people tell you how upset they are at everything. But that's okay. You expect that going into it. I have had a lot of praise from helping the cat infestation of the city of Hampton. I started to work with a company, an organization. It's called Operation Catnip, and it's in Alachua County by the Humane Society and the University of Florida's vet school. And they get together and they trap stray cats, and they fix them, and they give them all of their shots, and then they cut off half of their ear, and then they re-release them to where they came from. So now these cats won't have, dozens and dozens of kittens that just end up dead in the streets because of disease and malnutrition. So whenever I got to Hampton, I was greeted to this house that I bought with a whole bunch of dead cats under it and dead kittens everywhere, and it was just a sad sight. And it was such a fixable sight. It was a fixable problem. And after negotiating with Operation Catnip and convincing the city of Hampton that this free service was a great idea, they got with me, and I got with a couple people. I think maybe less than 5 people helped me in total for this whole thing, but we were able to fix over 50 cats, and this season we have had at least 2/3 of dead kittens. So I know that doesn't sound like something to really celebrate, but it's the little goals that you make and the little steps that make a difference in the town. And if you just keep making these little steps, you'll continue to make a little difference, and it impacts everyday people. You won't ever know it, but it does.
Honestly, I think some of your cats came down here, because I've got 2 of them living under my house with half an ear, and Kevin has one under his house.
With the little cut-off ears?
Yeah,
it's great.
And just to tell the audience why they do that, if you don't know, they spay or neuter them, and then they cut their ear off so that they don't go in and spay or neuter them again when they've already been spayed or neutered. So
correct, because they're supposed to be feral cats. They're supposed to be wild. So you don't want to reach your hand into a cage of a wild cat. So they anesthetize them in the crate. So if they see a cat inside a crate, they don't have to try to look at the stomach to see if it's sick or not. They can easily identify it by the ear. And if you see it, you can let that cat go and give another feline the opportunity to get this care.
Okay. How long is your term, and how much time do you have left, and where do you see yourself going after this?
My term is for 2 years. 2 of us were on 2-year terms. 3 of us were on 4-year terms. And I, so far, like politicking. I again, with the public service. I don't know what it is, but I like it. And I would like to do it in a setting where I could make it a career, and not that I'm trying to make a lot of money, but I get paid $125 a month, and that's not exactly enough to live on. I would like to make like a career and a living off of public service. But I don't know what the next step is. I'd love to run for higher office. I have a lot more learning to do. I don't know what the next step is. If anyone that's out there, I know I could run for county commission and build up that way, but what if I don't know what I want to do. There's so many questions that I have. I need to just sit down with a good lawyer and two good lawyers on opposite sides and just pick their brains.
I'm sure the Libertarian Party has a lot of ideas for running you in office. You're not the typical Libertarian. I was on a meeting the other day, and they were saying something like 75% men, age 40 or so. So you're definitely not the typical Libertarian for us. And I love to have more women, and I love to have more youth. That's why Jess put together the Tampa Bay Young Libertarians here in the Tampa Bay area.
It's bananas how many people get the seat front unopposed. I think that if younger people who are interested in politics and who are upset about the current state of their environment, just run, or at least just look at it, see who you're running against. If you think you can take them, try it. I just try it. What do you have to lose? The worst they can say is, nope, didn't get it. And then you're out, your $75 qualifying fee.
And like I said, sometimes there are positions where people just walk in unopposed. And then there are also the local community committees or municipal elections, or just a lot of different types of, we have review boards and things like that you can try to get on.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Like I said, I would love to continue to take on volunteer responsibilities, but my docket is so slap full with it. I'm so passionate about everything. I want to make it my life. I just don't quite know how.
You're hooked. And I think that also goes to a lot of the Libertarians who be watching this, or anybody. I mean, the Libertarian Party will even, you can be a member even if you're not a registered Libertarian. I know we do have a lot of people from other parties, and because, NPA is a growing percentage of the electorate now, people are leaving both the Democrats and the Republicans in droves. And so we need volunteers from all walks of life. We need volunteers to help with our candidates who are getting elected. I know we have several running here in Pinellas County and across the state for all different level positions. So if you can just get out and help us, that would be great. We have tons of stuff for you to do.
If you get about that, I would love to post it up on the affiliate Facebooks. So hopefully I can reach out to people in those areas and start to get connected with them.
Right, and you are, let's say, also you are the regional rep for your region, which encompasses what counties?
Correct. Regional rep for Region 4, the area of Union County, Bradford County, Alachua County, Hamilton County. I'm sorry to say this, but I don't know the whole list off the top of my head because they're like 7 little small counties. Lafayette County. I can point it on a map. But this whole chunk.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, but is Alachua in that one? I'm not so sure.
No, yeah, it's all very easy. Like, I've never run an affiliate before, so I have guidance, but I'm excited to learn, and you just got to get hooked up with the right people.
Well, that definitely has been a lot of admirable work. So is there anything in conclusion that you wanted to add or get across, or anything that you want to say maybe to the residents of Hamilton?
Hampton,
sorry. I knew I was going to do that.
No, you're fine. It gets confused often. I'm so grateful to be an elected official of the city of Hampton, and it has does mean the world to me, and I will continue to do you proud, and I will continue to do the Libertarian Party proud, and I hope that we could all grow together. And I will be more than happy to answer any questions that anybody has for me. I'm trying to read what people have going on the sidebar, but this is the first time I've done this Google Hangout situation, so, and trying to be politically correct.
We've been reading those to you, so you're good. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm not used to speaking in such an official capacity where I have to be so politically correct. I'm just not good at it, and I'm not going to pretend to be. So, what else? Okay, how can you get in touch with me? There's the Facebook pages that were made for me, and over this past weekend, I know that my social media in Crystal's whole IT department needs an upgrade, and I have been doing that. You could reach me on Facebook. You could reach the affiliate pages on Facebook. I've been in contact with the University of Florida's Libertarian Party, and they are on their slow season, and they will get with me shortly. So we're going to connect them. I think that Alachua County will be our big, big juice box of potential, because it is literally a melting pot of students. I feel like I can grab a hold of the University of Florida and run with them. So hopefully.
Definitely, that's a lesson out there that the universities could be a really valuable resource.
They're a huge part of the community.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess we can conclude if there's any. Did you give out your email, or you know what? I'll tell anybody if they want to leave a message on the YouTube channel, we'll monitor that, and we'll get Crystal those messages.
You can always email me.
Okay. Cool.
My email address is Crystal with a C, Crystal S as in summer, Turner @gmail.com. Crystals Turner gmail.com. And I'll be happy to get back to you. I work a 9-to-5 job. I can email in between. I'll multitask. If you are an affiliate or part of my county and you want to be a part of it, I would love to have representatives from each of the counties. I think that's going to be my next big goal with the Libertarian Party, is to get someone who is passionate from each of the counties that are in my 7, so we can start to run on a more local level.
Yeah, it's really important. And I also wanted to let everybody know that if you aren't registered Libertarian yet, what are you waiting for? We really need to get as many people as possible registered as Libertarian. Like I said, it's not good enough for us that you're just leaving the Republican and Democrat Party to go to NPA, or even if you pick Independent or Independence Party, those are actually parties. And so we would love for you, so that we can get more people like Crystal into office who want less government in your life, less government intrusion. I think this is a lesson to everyone about holding your government accountable, because if you don't, it's going to cause a disaster in your life. Or I guess, people could just leave the town, but if you're not interested in leaving the town, or if it's a wider spread county issue or something like that, you can't just keep running. You need to hold your county and your government officials accountable. So I want to thank everybody for attending. I just wanted to let everybody know, because I meant to do it at the beginning, that this is just for a point of reference. It's July 12th, 2015. So Crystal, you have another year or so to go in your term.
September 2016 will be the end of my city council term.
Okay. And if you're interested in, I wanted to thank Kevin O'Neill over there from the Hillsborough County affiliate. He's in the Tampa area. I'm in the St. Pete area, but we're really working together and helping each other out, because that's what we do. And I want to thank Crystal for hanging out with us this evening, and for being a great example and a great role model to not just the youth, but to everybody who's a libertarian, and to see her libertarianism in action. So thank you all for coming. It's about 7:59 now. Just if you wanted to get in touch with us, You can go to pinellaslp.org. That's PINELLASLP as in Libertarian Party.org. We also have the Tampa Bay Young Libertarians, which is TBYLS.org. And if you're not in the Tampa Bay area and you want to become a Libertarian, you can go to www.lpf.org, which is Libertarian Party of Florida.
All right, thank you so much for having us, It was so great to meet you guys. I'm excited to work with you again.
Great. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. Great job.